Would please stand for the pledge. All right, commissioners, we have the minutes in front of you. Any additions, deletions, motions?
Motion for approval of the minutes.
Second.
All right, we have a motion properly made second on the minutes. Pause for 1 second. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, minutes are approved. I will turn it over to Mr. Tyndall for announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're going to do things a little different this month and hopefully from here on forward with the agenda. First thing I'm going to call your attention to is the County Commission formal meeting was moved to October 20th due to fall break, so they won't vote until October 20th on the one county zoning case that we have today. In light of how we've done it in the past, we've always put the subdivisions and site plans in the end with the consent agenda. We're moving all consent agenda items to the front of the meeting. We often kept a lot of folks through sometimes over an hour of zoning cases just to hear that their case was conditionally approved or approved for the subdivisions or site plans. So we have moved those to the front of the meeting. And the way we're handling this is if we get any emails or phone calls that log comments with concerns, they will automatically be pulled from the consent agenda because we can no longer say that they are non-controversial, which is one of the requirements of being on a consent agenda, is that it's a non-controversial item. I'm going to read this statement into the record, and then Mr. Parker here will read all the subdivisions and site plans into the record that are on our consent agenda. Today, just for record, that's cases 1 through 12 on the first 3 pages. At the end of that, we'll ask if anyone else wants to discuss any of those separately. They're all either going to be at this point deferred, conditionally approved, or approved. And then if any are pulled, we'll put them at the end of the agenda for a public hearing and discussion then. So under subdivisions and site plans, all items in this section have been reviewed by the Regional Planning Commission staff and are recommended for approval. These matters are considered routine and non-controversial. These may be adopted in one motion without discussion. However, any commissioner, staff member, or member of the audience may request that an item be removed from the consent agenda for separate consideration. Items removed will be taken up after the regular agenda portion of the meeting. I'll also call your attention to on page 4 and 5, there are some items that already have been removed from the consent agenda. So if you're looking for any specific items, they may already be back there. For instance, variances or items that have other considerations or require public hearing will be already pulled from the agenda. So this is just items 1 through 12, and I'll ask Mr. Parker to read them into the record.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tyndall. Good afternoon, commissioners. Our first case on the consent agenda is case number S25-2025, the owner's Clarksville Fencing. The request is for preliminary plat of North Rossview Commons, lots 1 through 9. The staff recommendation is for a 1-month deferral as requested by the applicant. S61-2025, applicant Singletary Construction LLC. The development is Whitfield Center. Staff recommendation is for a 1-month deferral. S63-2025, applicant is Blick Homes LLC Development. Blick Homes LLC, the development is Blick Homes LLC property. Staff recommendation is for approval subject to the conditions listed. SR64-2025, the applicant is Josh Dennis. It's Dennis Concrete is the name of the development, and the staff recommendation is for a 1-month deferral. Case number SR65-2025, applicant's Dharma Tiny Town Holdings. The development is called Town Gate Plaza, formerly known as Tiny Town Retail Center. Recommendation is for approval subject to the conditions listed. Case number SR66-2025, applicants Bill Ballou. Autumnwood East Apartments is the name of the development. The staff recommendation is for a 1-month deferral. Case number SR67-2025, Applicant is Bill Mace. Development is Autumnwood Farms Commercial. Staff recommendation is for a 1-month deferral. SR 68, 2025. Applicant is Bill Mace. This is Autumnwood West Apartments. Staff recommendation is for a 1-month deferral. SR 69, 2025. Applicant is Todd Morris. The development is 1979 Madison Street Retail/Office. Staff recommendation is for approval, subject to the conditions listed. Case number SR 71, 2025. Applicant is Torx LLC, Travis Bubar. The development is Torx LLC. Staff recommendation is for approval, subject to the conditions listed. Case number SR 72, Fairview Properties. The name of the development at 160 Fairview Lane. The staff recommendation is for approval, subject to the conditions listed. And finally, case number SR 73, 2025. The applicant is Retail Partners Tiny Town GP. The development is Panera Bread Franklin Commons. Staff recommendation is for approval, subject to the conditions listed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Is anyone in the public or any engineers or developers here need to discuss any of these separately? Yes, ma'am.
SR 63-2025. It has 8 plus or minus.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Yes. Would you like to discuss that later in the meeting? All right. That one will be moved to the end of the meeting. Anyone else? All right, commissioners, with the exception of number 3, Blick Homes, the rest is offered up as a consent agenda.
I do have a question, Mr. Tindall.
Yes.
At the informal, we discussed a few of these and their engineers showed up. Is that still considered on the consent agenda? If they were against it going on the consent agenda at the informal?
I'll give them an opportunity to speak now, but we've sent back an email after that meeting and laid out all of our concerns, and we do have a meeting scheduled for Thursday to go over all of them.
Okay.
But we'll cover it Thursday.
Just making sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, consent agenda in front of you.
Make a motion for approval.
Second.
We have a motion properly made second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All right, consent agenda passes.
Item SR 63, 2025 will move behind item number 19 in the agenda.
All right, as we get into the regular session here, I just want to remind everybody on each one of the cases we're going to hear, there will be a public hearing. 3 people can get up, talk for 3 minutes in favor, 3 can get up and talk against, and then we'll also allow time for a rebuttal. On any zoning cases we hear, just remember this is just recommendations from this body. It will go either to the city council or county commission, so on your agenda is a listing of those meetings. If you're after a zoning case, you should follow it to that body's next meeting. And if you have any other questions after the meeting, you can always contact the RPC and see what the next steps are. And that being said, I'll turn it over to Mr. Spanauer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. You have Z38 2025 on the agenda. That was presented to you last month with the staff's recommendation. I know that was discussed and deferred at last month's meeting. We did receive another request for a month deferral at the request of the applicant. The staff is agreeable to that, but I would suggest we see if there's any public comments in reference to this application, but the applicant and the staff are both agreeable to that deferral.
Okay. All right, we're going to open up the public hearing on Z38 2025. Would anyone like to speak in favor? Seeing no one, would anyone like to speak against Z38 2025? All right, we're going to exit public hearing. Commissioners, they're asking for a deferral. Comments?
Motion to defer.
Ms. Streetman, did you have anything?
I do have a question. They've requested a deferral. Are they considering changing their zoning request?
I met with the applicant earlier in the month, and it seemed that he was not willing to do that. They are in further discussions with the code department and city legal, so It's been out of our hands the last couple of weeks. But I did get an email. I didn't expect it, but I did get an email asking for a deferral for this month.
How, oh, sorry, you got another question?
Nope, that answered my question.
How many months have we deferred this one?
We deferred it last month ourselves, and this is the first month they're asking for a deferral. So this will be 2.
Well, then technically, according to our class, last month,
That would be for subdivisions.
subdivisions only.
Only subdivisions.
Okay, just making
Hey,
sure.
good.
Want to make sure it didn't apply
Way
to
to
this
remember
other
that.
case too,
No.
and it would just
Yeah.
sail on through.
All right, we do have a motion for deferral.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a properly made second. All those in favor to defer Z 38-2025?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Z 38-2025 is deferred.
All right, I'll take on the next one. It's Z04A 2024. If you remember 2 months ago, the sign regulations in conjunction with the Madison Street overlay was split at the Planning Commission. This section was split out from that. We call that Section 25. We left it as reserved at that time. You can see on pages 3 and 4, there's the actual text of the ordinance. Did take a recommendation last week to take number 8 and cross-reference the non-commercial message section there on page 4. I'll go through the slides again. I know we've been through this a bunch. This applies to all electronic message centers citywide. We've extended the time to comply from January 1st to January 31st because of the month deferral, just to give all owners a good period of 3 or 4 months to work with their software, get through the Christmas season, and not have to worry about adjusting their signs at that time. Electronic message centers may not be used in the place of wall signs. They may be a portion of pylon signs, shall not exceed 75% of the maximum signage allowed in the district. Electronic message centers can be used on directory signs and shall not exceed 25% of the signage. And then letter D there, as of January 31st, all electronic message centers within the city limits shall be compliant with the following. And then a lot of language in there. I'll go over the real highlights here. It's on this slide here, and then I think I have some examples. Hopefully they work. No new electronic message centers within 100 feet of a single-family residence unless oriented away from that residence, in which instance you can have 25 foot of distance. 1 freestanding electronic message center per property. If you're on a corner lot, you may go to the Board of Zoning Appeals and request a second one. Minimum height of the message center shall be 2 feet. This is to keep the small scrolling message boards away. This is for advertising of the businesses, so taller, 2 feet and taller signs. Also, that's the size you need to be so you can see it from the road or across the road. Transition time, and this is where I think the next 2 items have been in a place where there's been a lot of discussion between the sign companies, business owners, and the Planning Commission. It's really kind of up to what does the Planning Commission and the City Council feels appropriate. A lot of cities do it a lot of different ways. Transition time. This is the time between transitions. I'll show you an example here in a minute. Transition time between images or messages shall be limited to no more than 3 seconds. Transitions may animate or move. However, inappropriate transitions such as flashing, spinning, or distracting techniques shall be prohibited. Number 6, all images or messages must remain static and unchanged for a minimum of 6 seconds before transitioning or displaying the next image or message. The image or text shall be static after the initial transition, and no movies, GIFs, or other flashing or moving images on the sign. The images shall be associated with the services or goods produced on the property. Non-commercial messages are exempt per section 812. No chasing, sequential, or running messages shall be used. All electronic message centers shall use automatic dimming or adjust brightness based on ambient light conditions. And when the sign is malfunctioning, it shall be placed on a black solid background. All right, we're going to try to see if this works. Next slide, Daniel. It does. All right, on the left there, that is a chasing or scrolling sign. I tried to find examples on the internet. It was a little hard, actually. See how the words continue to go across. And now on the right there, this is a sign that has 7 seconds of change, so a second more than we're talking about, and no transitions. the transition happens in less than a second, and then it sits for 7 seconds. We're proposing 6 seconds, so just a tick shorter than you're seeing on that picture. And then on the we can go back to these if you want to see them again. On this one, this is on the left an example of continuous animation on a sign. It never actually stops. The messages continue throughout each one of those. And on the right, I really don't have a video of a sign that's too bright, but there's an example on the right of a sign that did not dim in the nighttime in the rain there. Before City Council, I might want to go back and get some even other examples. Specifically did not pick out any local businesses on that. Again, this just recaps what we were talking there about the major talking points, speed of transition, hold time, and the chasing of the words as well as the dimming. I'll be happy to answer any questions, but when staff was asked to allow signs like this in the Madison Street overlay, we saw that there was a sort of glaring omission that there was no citywide regulations that probably should have been put in 20 plus years ago when these signs were first appearing and allowed. And we felt this was the time that if you're going to allow it in Madison Street, you probably should have some guidelines, not just for them, but for citywide as well. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Mr. Trubin?
Question, what if you have a sign that's, you've got maybe the logo is static, but you have a American flag or a background that is animated?
I would consider that animated. In the end, though, this is going to be the code department's discretion when they enforce it.
Okay, thank you.
How does 8.12D read?
That's a great, don't know off the top of my head. It basically exempts, and then if I can pull up the 2 months ago here, I should have that. That reads that the following under 8.1.2, those are considered the exemptions from the sign ordinance. Holiday signs and decorations and signs with no commercial message are exempt from the regulations. So if you, again, the God Bless America, go Austin P, those messages that are sort of non-commercial to the business are exempt from the regulations. So not upheld to, you can't advertise something, as I often say, if you're selling, washers and dryers, don't be advertising for Ford down the street. In this case, those are messages that are not necessarily dealing with products on site, but they're also non-commercial messages.
Okay, thank you.
So in line with that, I apologize, Chairman.
No, go ahead.
In line with his question, so for example, a lot of times we've seen in the past where United Way has been having their, push to get businesses to be, have their employees involved, really getting the word of United Way. United Way could be out there.
I think that would be all right. That's a nonprofit. It's not a commercial message for the business.
Okay, what about the Chamber of Commerce? There's times where they've had drives to get more members for the Chamber of Commerce and have asked, their members to put things out on their boards. Is that going to be an issue?
I don't really see an issue on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of examples we can go down with
Okay.
this one. Yeah,
Charity, community type messages will be okay.
public information. Yeah.
Okay.
But to that extent, no renting your electronic board out to advertise.
That'd be a
for
good
other
way to put it.
businesses, in essence?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we're going to open up the public hearing on ZO4A 2024. Would anyone like to speak in favor? Seeing no one, would anyone like to speak against?
Hello, my name is Thomas Brennan. I own Thomas's Cleaning and Restoration, a company with a sign, a company whose sign has done very well in advertising for them. But I'm not speaking about me personally today. I'm speaking about every church. I'm speaking about every small business owner, some big business owners. I can't wait till y'all go tell Charles Hand he can't do what he's doing currently with his sign. I want to be there. I would like to be a fly on the wall for that particular conversation. This is just gross government overreach. At the end of the day, you guys have got 40-something things, if you itemize them out, that you cannot do with your sign. And none of it is about safety. It's all about taste. Mr. Tyndall doesn't like it. He thinks it's too bright, too dynamic, and he just doesn't see the economic investment that we've made in these signs. These signs are $50,000, $60,000. Some people, I don't know what Wyatt Johnson's ginormous sign cost, but I'm sure it was in the hundreds. And now we're going to go tell Pastor Smith he can't have a GIF or GIF, I don't know either, a rolling away of the stone in front of an empty tomb on Easter. That's going to be disqualified, I believe, in this stuff here. Hashtag Go Cats. I don't know if that's legal currently on my sign or not. I'd love to see the cats come to Clarksville, and I've got hashtag Keep the Cats on my sign. I think the way it reads, and according to you, it's all about the language. That's against the rules. And really, if you read the language, half of the stuff you guys just said was okay is not okay. So it says it has to be about the business. You say non-commercial message, but that's not the way that it's written. The way that it's written is a First Amendment violation. I've spoken with my attorney on regulatory takings, and we can touch base with that when we get to court. It's all good. All the new signs, the watch fire, serious signs, all those do what you guys really want them to do. They all auto dim. They all automatically adjust brightness. They do all those things. But when some of these churches, you talking about the scrolling signs. If you drive down Needmore, those signs are all scrolling signs. So you're pretty much telling every church that has an older sign that their sign is no longer going to be able to be used. If you drive down the bypass, every one of those signs except one is breaking one of these 40 rules. When they put this on Clarksville Now a month or so ago, and they said we're gonna regulate these signs, you should have seen the bigger fish to fry comments that came out from the public. The public doesn't want this. Business owners and churches don't want this. I've talked to building and codes. They don't want this. They're mad now. You got them driving up and down the road looking at how close, if they're in the street right away. I mean, this is just a matter of taste. It's not a matter of safety. I feel like that this is a regulatory taking issue. My attorney also feels like it's a regulatory taking issue. You're taking away value from my sign that we've paid tens of thousands of dollars to get and trying to just make it a flat poster. At the end of the day, we want businesses to succeed here. If you look at, Governor Square Mall signs not compliant, it's a ghost town in there. If I'm at my 3 minutes, I'm sorry. Okay, thanks, guys. Any questions or anything?
Where were we at, the 3? Okay, good deal. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. All right, would anyone else like to speak against ZO 4A 2024? Seeing no one, we're going to jump out of public hearing. Commissioners?
I'd like to make a deferral of another month with the statements that were made by the business owner regarding potential legal taking. I would like to myself speak with Mr. Bittner.
All right.
That's who would be representing
Yep.
this case in the event that it
Valid,
did go to.
valid concern.
So make a motion for deferral for another, until the next meeting.
Okay. So we have a motion for deferral. Any discussion before we get a second there?
Mr. Tyndall, based upon what the gentleman said about some of the signs that would be brought out of compliance with the new ordinances and everything, were there that many? Was he correct in his statement as to several of the The s-
All but one on the bypass.
Order,
I'll answer
order,
the question.
One order.
Can they be brought into compliance? Yes. They all have software that runs these programs, but someone has taken time to program them currently, and someone will have to take time to reprogram it to do and comply with the rules.
So
A lot of the
currently-
modern signs, you can say, here's the rules, and it will help you build. It's like a PowerPoint program to make it compliant. But yes,
currently, based upon what we would be enforcing, they would be out of compliance,
yes.
except for one.
Mr. Friedman?
You mentioned that they would have software that could be able to solve the issue, and that would be the more modern signs.
Correct.
I know the speaker referenced some of the churches that have the scrolling, where it's kind of what you showed up on there, and those are going to be a little bit older signs, may not have, could they potentially not have the ability to update their signs and?
I don't know the answer to that. But with a month, I can get you the answer to that.
I think a lot of the schools have the rolling
I've
signs.
got
too.
another question, because even if they could stop the scroll and just put a permanent message on that, those little scroll signs are only about 6 to 8 inches tall. So then they still wouldn't be in compliance of being 2 foot minimum.
Yeah, that would be for new signs. So in that instance, they would be
So that'd be
grandfathered on the sign size, but not the
So only
method.
certain parts are grandfathered in, or,
So because it's a changeable sign, because it can change any instance, and the size of the sign cannot change, obviously, without getting a new sign, but the message on it can change with a flip of a button. As soon as the regulations go into effect, that was January 31st, we'll obviously extend that if this gets extended any further. The new messages on the sign must be compliant.
now another question. Because each one of these, it reads okay, but to Mr. Brennan's point, because I've seen his sign, I know where his business is, houses were built across the street. That would put them within 100 foot of his sign.
His sign, I don't think, is facing the homes, right? It faces the street, down the street.
It'd be
I'll take a look
facing
again.
catty corner to the homes.
All right, I'll have to go look at that. But it's existing already. So the section, and again, it's that section D that applies with the messages on there. Again, when you turn it on, it's considered a new sign every time that new image comes up. The image, and this goes back to the size, shape, manner of signage. We're talking about just the manner it's being displayed here. The size and the shape is pretty set already, and that's what the government can regulate. They can't tell you what you can and can't say completely. When it comes to your business, though, it's the manner of how you're doing it. How big, quote, how loud, or how often in this instance. That's how every other sign is regulated. It's just, it brings in that third dimension, if you will, that it can change instead of being just a plastic sign or a wooden sign on a pole.
I just agree with Mr. Streetman. It can be a slippery slope. I know I read an article, it's probably been 5 or 6 years ago, maybe been last year, I can't remember, I refreshed it. But there was a church, I want to say it was up in Michigan, and they had a political sign out front, and the city made them take it down. And signage, when I read all of that, I went a little bit deeper. Signage is a very tricky thing to try and regulate, because signs display what? The First Amendment. And that's a slippery slope. So yes, I agree with certain things like, size maybe, or dimness and brightness, those things, but the message on it, I don't think as a government body we can regulate. And I feel like this probably needs just to be a little bit more clear about what's grandfathered in, what's not. And I know I appreciate that you added in what it was referencing to that it wouldn't do, but now that Mr. Brennan spoke, he did bring a few other things to my attention, and I think we need a little more time to look this over.
Mr. Chairman, before you take the vote, and I don't disagree with the deferral. I just think this is the appropriate time to talk and not after the vote. would it be okay if we scheduled a workshop session at the start of the informal meeting this coming month? So we'll actually have the first half hour be a workshop session just to go over the finer. Really, I think it's down to about 3 bullets in here that are really what's hanging a lot of people up. And if we can get to a point, we're putting our best effort forward, but I'm hearing different. I would like to get to a point where we can negotiate that out, but I don't think we can do it in the informal. So I'd like to hold a workshop session first, and that'll be open to the public, and we can work through it with staff and the commissioners, and then put an ordinance together that morning that we can then bring back next month, that we can all hopefully mostly get behind.
Sure.
Mr. Tyndall, I could be wrong, but I think it may even be wise to see if there's a way to include the city council on that, as they would be the ones voting on it. I realize that we're making an recommendation here, but if the city council gets it and then they want changes, it's gonna have to come back to us again and then go back to them again. You're welcome to do whatever you, and as well as the chair, believe is appropriate. It's just a suggestion that I'm making.
Yeah,
Whether it's at the same time
Yeah, I can't
or a
convene
different.
them. I can't convene city council, but I can definitely solicit input and invite them.
I think you could invite them,
participate.
was
Yeah,
more what I was referring to.
provide input. I'll leave you with that option. We can actually call that at the end of the meeting under other business. We can declare that meeting. And then I will say, like I said originally, I remember back to grad school, I think one of my professors said is like, never open up the sign ordinance. You're just going to ask for trouble. This all came about because of the overlay work and then the Madison Street allowing the electronic message centers. If that didn't happen, I don't think we'd be here. So I know we do have other bigger fish to fry. I know there's other things to do, but when you're presented with opportunities because of other actions, we sometimes have to take what's in front of us. So
And
this has been a learning process. There's a lot to unpack, and I think Commissioner Smith was spot on. It's very tricky, slippery slope.
And I do believe you could still work, even if it wasn't included as part of this one. If you did a separate, I don't think you convene the city council, but I think you could work with the city clerk and potentially have a workshop. It's not the same, I don't believe, as having a council meeting. I would verify that
Okay.
with her, but again, just an opportunity to get that input, so it's not a back, forth, back, forth, back, forth.
Yeah, I don't want that either.
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure who to direct this question to, and if I've be in order, as far as the expense of getting signs into compliance, is it greatly, I mean, is it a large to do?
It's a time effort. You know, it's a computer program. They're gonna have to code them differently, and some of the work you may have done in the past years may not be compliant anymore. So that's where the expense may come.
Anybody else?
Did we get a second on that motion?
No, that's what I was about to bring back up.
I'll second
So we had a motion for what, 30-day deferral?
Yes.
till the next meeting.
All right, and a properly made second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, any opposed? All right,
All right, well,
ZO4A 2024 is deferred.
all right. We do have one county zoning case. So if you'll open up your tablets to the county case.
It doesn't appear the update is fully in that portion, so I'm gonna work on the paper copy, so if you got questions. If you got questions on the staff report, I actually have a printed copy here for you. It is CZ 15-2025, it's the application of J&N Enterprises. This is for a piece of property, a tract of land on the western frontage at the southern terminus of Ross Lane. Does encompass just over 11 acres at 11.21. It is in the PGA of the growth plan, and the applicant is proposed to go from AG agricultural district to R1 single family residential district. This would be an extension of the zoning classification. It's currently a wooded tract of land. It is in the Woodlawn Dotsonville planning area. Department comments. We discussed with Woodlawn Utility District. They had part of the reason for the deferral last month is they were looking for information. The developer anticipates 22 plus or minus lots. That aligns with our historic estimate. If they are connected to sewer, Woodlawn did note that the project would be connecting to Jackson Hill subdivision and a second feed from Old Dover Road water line. If water flow and pressure adequate, water will be available after the 16-inch transmission line is completed. The new transmission line should be completed by July of 26. Gas and Water has noted that there's currently no gravity sewer on the property. The County Highway Department also requested a traffic assessment. They don't see any issues with the zoning. However, their road list for Ross Lane currently lists the road width at 19 foot wide. Improvements may be required to Ross Lane at the development stage. There's really no other department comments of any concern. This will allow for increased single-family residential density on the property. Future land use opinion map indicates this property is located in the rural reserve for future land use. Staff's recommendation is for approval. The request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted Clarksville-Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan. The future land use for this tract is listed as rural reserve. This designation was applied so that the future 374, our State Route 374 right-of-way, could be identified, acquired free of encroachment. This proposed zoning request does not conflict with the future 374 corridor. The proposed R1 single-family residential request is in character with the recent development pattern to the east and paced accordingly as it's directly adjacent to the similar developments underway. The general recommendations for the Woodlawn-Dotsonville planning area states that residential development should be focused in proximity to rural commercial nodes, such as the one identified on the future land use opinion map for this area. And as noted earlier, the Woodlawn Utility District has noted that water, main and water line improvements should be completed by July of 26. Proper water flow and pressure will be required prior to approval of the final construction. If you have any questions for me or the staff, I'll be more than happy to try to answer them.
Here's a second copy. Here's the hard copy of the staff report. Sorry, did not make it on your tablets.
Questions for staff? Okay. All right, we're gonna open up public hearing then on CZ 15-2025. Would anyone like to speak in favor?
Vernon Weekly, 108 Center Point Drive. Appreciate your vote on this, and if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to speak in favor of CZ 15-2025? Seeing no one, would anyone like to speak against CZ 15-2025? We're going to close public hearing. Commissioners?
I'd just like to make it known that when we voted on Jackson Hill, I made note that I would really like that to connect to Ross Lane at some point. And this actually allows that, so that if we think chestnut checkers, whenever 374 does get through there, knock on wood if it's in my lifetime, that will allow an extension for Ross Lane to get out to 374 without having to go to that dangerous intersection at Old Dover Road. So just, that's gonna be my basis for my motion. Motion for approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion properly made second. Any more comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, CZ 15-2025 passes.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. Next up, under subdivisions, we do have a variance this month for Milan Holdings, followed by their plat in number 17. So, Mr. Parker, if you'll go over the variance on V8-2025.
Thank you, Mr. Tyndall. Case number V8-2025, the applicant's Milan Holdings. The request is a subdivision variance request. The property is located south of and adjacent to Beaumont Street. Property is currently zoned CBD, Central Business District, within the city. The corresponding subdivision case is case number S59-2025. The variance requested is to 4.4 subsection 8 of the subdivision regulations. The depth of a residential lot shall not be less than 80 feet. The proposed lots 2 through 5 do not meet the 80-foot lot depth. These lots vary in depth from approximately, 56 through approximately 74 feet, and the exhibit is in your packet to go over those details. If you want to go to page 8 You'll see the aerial overview of the site. And the page 9, the following page 9, is the variance exhibit that was mentioned. If there's any questions for the staff, I'll be happy to try and answer those. Otherwise, we'll need to have a public hearing.
Questions? All right, we're going to open up the public hearing on V8 2025. Would anyone like to speak in favor?
Cal McKay Merchant Company, 1545 Madison Street. This may look familiar. It was approved a little over a year ago, that and the plat. We just ran out of time. There's a rule that you have to get it recorded within a year of approval, and they were ready to get it recorded, and we realized that the year had expired. But there's on CBD. We've got triplexes set on them. They don't need the additional lot depth, and it's just a huge retaining wall any further deep. We can still fit the buildings in within all the setbacks. But I'll answer any questions.
Any questions? Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to speak in favor of V8 2025? Would anyone like to speak against? We'll exit public hearing. Commissioners?
Move for approval, case V8 2025, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We got a motion for approval and properly made second. Any discussion? Mr. Treatman?
I will be abstaining due to my employer owning the property adjoining across the street.
Okay. So we got one abstention. Anything else? All right, we got a motion properly made second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Right. V8 2025 passes.
All right. Case number S59 2025 is the property associated with this, the subdivision that is associated with the variance case that just passed. The applicant again is Meon Holdings. It's Meon Holdings LLC property, Jefferson Street, lots 1 through 6. This is a minor plat. As previously mentioned, V8 2025 is the corresponding case, and the staff recommendation is for approval subject to the 2 conditions listed. If you'd like to look at the aerial overview, that's on page 12, and the proposed plat is on page 13. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Make a motion for approval
Second.
with the conditions listed.
Do we need to do a public hearing?
Just ask if anyone's here to speak on it in general.
Okay. Anyone, we're gonna do a quick public hearing
Oh, sorry
check
about
here.
that.
Okay. Anyone like to speak in favor of S59 2025? Anyone against? Okay. Now go ahead.
I'll do the same motion for approval with the conditions listed.
Same second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Ms. Treatman?
I will be abstaining because my employer owns the property across the street.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and properly made second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? S59 2025 passes.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. Case number S67 2025. The applicant is Ross Farms Development LLC. The subdivision request is Ross Farms Section 3 Cluster Revised Preliminary Plat. Proposed acreage is 88.9 plus or minus 276 lots. The property is zoned R1 within the city. If you'll go to page 16, you'll see the aerial overview of the site. The following page, page 17, is the proposed revised plat. I'll point out a couple of things on this. There's a couple of reasons for the revision that's being requested. The first is to remove the condition that Phase 3 final plat cannot be approved by the Planning Commission and have building permits released until the completion of the Rossview Road Improvement, Dunbar Cave Realignment Project Phase 2. I'll point out that comments in your staff report from the Clarksville Street Department that Dunbar construction should be complete by the end of the year. The second reason for the request is to remove approximately 63 plus or minus acres of open space from the plat. Those areas are to the south and to the west. They are shown on the vicinity map in red, if that helps you to be able to see that. Again, going back to the staff report, The staff recommendation, the plat meets the subdivision requirements. Conditions, if approved, the following conditions should be added. Approval from the Clarksville Street Department to include any roadway improvements, grading and water quality, and driveway access locations to the public right-of-way. Number 2, approval of all utility plans by the city engineer's office or utility district official. There's some additional information below, including past conditions, and department comments are listed on the next page. If there's any questions from the staff, I'll be happy to try and answer those.
Commissioners, any questions for staff before we jump into public? All right, seeing none, we'll open up the public hearing on S 67, 2025. Would anyone like to speak in favor?
Good afternoon, Bert Singletary, Singletary Construction, 127 Center Point Drive. Any questions?
Not to speak for the commissioners, but could you explain why we have to do this now instead of wait until Dunbar Cave is complete?
When we originally kind of laid out our plan to build this subdivision, we had it on a 3-year schedule. And I think we talked about Dunbar Cave Road being completed within about a year. And we're kind of on our schedule. Dunbar Cave is a little behind. It looks like it's pretty close. And by the time we get the final plat recorded, I think everything should line up.
Do you know if they've started on phase 2 of Rossview yet?
On the Rossview Road improvements? Yeah, well, the Dunbar Cave Road improvement, what are you asking?
If the city started on the phase they were supposed to be working on?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
yes, yes.
I'll get David Smith up here in a minute. We'll dig into it a little bit.
Okay, all right.
Anybody have any other questions here from
Once
Mr.
your
Secretary?
plat is complete, how long does it take you to do your infrastructure and start building homes in that area?
Once the plat is complete and
Yes, sir.
recorded, normally it takes 4 to 6 months to build a home.
So your,
someone would be
your
moving in.
timeframe would be 4 to 6 months before people are moving in, which would be past the end of the year,
Correct.
if I'm doing the math correct here.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Thank you.
Ms. Treatman?
Mr. Singletary, I can't support this request. It was you and I that had the discussion that day when we approved this to be able to go through, to agree to wait until that was completed. So I just wanted to make note of that as to why I'll be voting against it. I realize it's taken a little bit longer than planned, but that was what we sat here and discussed and agreed to be able to approve the variance and then approve the overall. So again, just wanted to know why I would be voting against it today.
Anyone else? Thank you, sir.
All right.
Would anyone else like to speak in favor of S 67, 2025?
Herman Weekly, 108 Center Point Drive. This case goes back to February of '22. And I know several of y'all were on this commission and several of you weren't. And this subdivision had a variance request on it. Ms. Streetman made the motion for disapproval of the variance, and it died for a lack of second. And then the commission made a motion to approve the variance, and it was approved. And so then we went on into the subdivision case. And Red Little spoke in favor of it. The plat met all the requirements of the preliminary plat approval at that time. Motion was made for approval and was seconded. And then Ms. Streetman wanted to make an amendment to it, and trying to undo what the variance had just created. And she brought up Mr. Cowan, and he said that this Rossview Road would be built by May, is what he said, which was May of '22. And so, in the discussion, Mr. Singletary was asked whether he had a problem with waiting until that road was built. And he said, well, if it's gonna be built within a year, we're gonna be 3 years down the road, so we don't have a problem. I guess the only mistake was made is that we don't have a problem as long as y'all live up to your schedule. And they are real close to finishing now, and they're just a couple years behind. But we're at a point now where we're getting close to finishing the infrastructure on these lots and need them to be final. And the city road is almost finished. And like Mr. Smith, you brought up, after we record the plat, it'll take 4 to 6 months to build the house. So these houses won't be coming online until way after the city is complete. But for the schedule of the contract for the lots and for the schedule of getting to keep moving forward, we need this condition removed. And we feel like that we have lived up to our end of the agreement. It was an agreement that didn't have to be accepted. We just accepted it on faith that the city would have theirs done in a year. If we had said no, we would have passed the vote without this condition because the motion was already made and seconded. But we just want to try to work with everybody. And now we want y'all to work with us. And so nothing's going to get done ahead of schedule, but we need this condition removed so we can keep moving forward right now. We'll be paving the roads in this section this week, maybe, if not next week. And the conditions you read, Brad, have already been complied with. We already have the plans approved. So this is the only condition that we don't have, and we just ask you if we're so close to the end that y'all would remove it. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Questions, comments from Mr. Weekly? Mr. Treatman?
Mr. Weekly, you stated that my motion for disapproval failed for lack of a second.
I'm reading from the notes of the planning commission. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, maybe it failed for lack of a second, but just for clarification to the commissioners, it was a close vote when it came forward for the approval. And when the agreement was made and the amendment was made to add the condition onto there, it wasn't to undo the variance that had just been approved, because undoing the variance would have decreased the number of homes that was allowed in the area. I just want that clarification on the record for the others that sit up here with me, that I never tried to undo the variance. I had no choice but to support the vote of the commission that we had.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Weekly.
Could we get clarification from the street department as to?
We will. Let me get through public hearing right quick, and then we'll get them up there. Would anyone else like to speak in favor of S67 2025? All right. Would anyone like to speak against? All right. Seeing none, we're going to exit out of public hearing. Mr. Smith, the street department, please.
As requested.
How you doing?
Doing good, sir.
Good. Can we just get an update on Rossview? What's going on out
Sure,
there?
absolutely.
Where you guys at?
Absolutely. So we'll give you a little brief history on it. Phase one of phase two was supposed to be Rossview Road, but we had the typical utility conflict, so we shifted, and the preponderance of the roadways surrounding the Ross Farms development took precedence, and that's why so much of that road is done and why Rossview is kind of lagging behind in development. However, the signalization, we're putting out sidewalk, we'll be paving very, very soon. The roadway is on schedule to be finished. I think their contract, the existing terminus is the end of November. We'll see what fall break presents. Eubank's a very fast contractor. If the weather cooperates, we're gonna move very well. If we continue to get these rainy days and whatnot, it's obviously gonna slow us up, but I would say that still the good target is in November, mid-December, before the asphalt plants close up, we'll be squared away.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Smith?
No, that still presents plenty of time before they start building.
Sure, absolutely. And we've got the temporary road in place right now. We went ahead and put in just to still continue that connection to Rossview, with the issues of having the road closure and whatnot. So there is still a connection, yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
guys. Thanks.
Commissioners?
Vote for approval.
Second.
I have a question for Mr. Tyndall.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Mr. Tyndall, what are your thoughts in regard to us lifting conditions that have been put on by the RPC and setting precedents for others?
Ooh, put me on the spot a little bit.
Well, that's what you get paid the big bucks for.
That's right. Rewinding back to 2022, the anticipation was that a road would be in place 15, 18 months after that. And the planning commission does have the authority to pace and phase projects. And I think you were all generous at the time to give the first two phases 250 plus lots, I believe, at the time, to get the go ahead. And Mr. Singletary has kept on his schedule. And we, even at the time, the staff, I think, felt that was a very aggressive schedule, 3 years to do all this. And he's shown he's been doing it. I think he's going to have it all done in about 4 here, it looks like, which is very fast compared to a lot of development in this community. Obviously, as was just presented by the street department, you had utility issues, and the project got pushed back a little bit. We do have the light at the end of the tunnel, so if the thought is about phasing it to the point where you're not going to inundate the road with additional traffic until the road's open, you're in that, I think, gray area. I think some of you have been picking up on that the road will be done before the first people potentially move in 6-7 months from now. So you're in that twilight of it. I think it was appropriate in 22 to do it. I think it was appropriate when we heard this again in the past year. Again, the road construction was just beginning. I think the last time they came in for this, I don't even think they cleared the path at that time, but you have seen the progress, and that's why it lies with all of y'all. Ethically, I would say stick to the guns. That was the original condition put in place, but at the same time, I can see that it's done its job at this point and pushed it back to the point where the road will be open and the roadway, and I've been on it, it looks good. It's going to be a wider road, and it will have a signal at the high school, which will help things too. So if the hope was to let that construction get through before you're inundating it with more vehicles, I think that's run its course.
Thank you, sir.
So we do have a motion, and if it gets seconded and approved, does the previous condition, does it come off automatically when we do that, or we have to amend it and then?
So what you have before you is basically a new application.
Okay.
And the only two conditions the staff has put on there, as Mr. Vernon has already said, that has been addressed was
Clarksville Street Department.
Correct,
Approval
sir.
of utilities.
A utility and the street department. So just to make sure their permits are active, once they're good, and once they get the plats signed and bring them to us, we would be able to sign them.
Okay.
So.
All right, so we have a motion for approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion properly made second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay. We have S 67-2025 passes.
Okay, Commissioners, our final subdivision case is case number S68-2025. The applicant is CJM Properties LLC. The subdivision is called 125 Sango. It is a final plat. There's approximately 19.1 acres total. 5 lots are proposed. The zoning of the property is C5 Highway Commercial. That is in the UGB urban growth boundary of the growth plan. If you go to page 20 of your report, you'll see the aerial overview. The following page is page 21. I will point out that the reason this plat is before you today is the applicant is requesting a bond for the roadway. That bond would go through the County Highway Department. It would also be administered in agreement with the legal department. I believe we have representatives of both of those departments here. The staff recommendation is for approval, subject to the 3 conditions listed. I'll read those into the record. Receipt of the surety by the Montgomery County Highway Department, receipt and acceptance of the developer's agreement by the county, and updated signature block for Montgomery County Highway Department. Department comments are listed below that. If there's any questions for the staff, I'll be happy to try and answer those.
Any questions, Commissioners, for staff? All right, we're going to open up public hearing then on S 68-2025. Would anyone like to speak in favor?
Good afternoon, Jimmy Bagwell, 2386 Rossview Road, engineer for the owner of this property. Be glad to answer any questions you have. The owner's, he's in agreement with providing the bond and the development agreement that the county has provided, so we're asking for that approval.
Any questions? All right, thank you, sir.
Mhm.
Would anyone else like to speak in favor of S 68-2025? Seeing no one, would anyone like to speak against? We're gonna exit public hearing. Commissioners?
Move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All right, we have a motion. Oh, we got a question? Yes, ma'am?
Not a question. I'll be
Statement?
abstaining.
Okay,
because
abstaining. I got
This is my employer.
All right, we have a motion and properly made second on S 68, 2025. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, S 68, 2025 passes.
Okay, our next case number, we've moved on from the subdivision portion of the new business into site reviews. That case is case SR 63, 2025. The applicant is Blick Homes LLC. The name of the site is Blick Homes LLC property. It is multifamily located at 726 Main Street. The property is zoned CBD, Central Business District, within the city. On page 7, you'll see the aerial overview of the site, and the following, page 8, is the proposed site plan. If there's any questions for the staff, I'll be happy to try and answer those. Thank you.
Commissioners, any questions for staff? All right, we're gonna open up the public hearing then on SR 63, 2025. Would anyone like to speak in favor?
Good afternoon, Cal Burchett, McKay Burchett Company, 1545 Madison Street. We had submitted this last month. Staff had some concerns, and we worked with them to come to agreement with our client, Adam Blick. He's also here if you have any questions for him, but we'd ask for your approval with those conditions. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to speak in favor of SR 63, 2025? Seeing none, would anyone like to speak against SR 63, 2025? Come on up. Yes, ma'am, if you just give us your name and your address, please.
Mary Falls Scott. My official address is 118 Darling Drive, but the house at 722 Main Street also belongs to me.
Okay.
And my question is not that I'm against the property. I just want to know, how can they put 8 units on that small lot? Is it gonna be 2 stories or what? I was not able to be here when it was originally brought because I had a doctor's appointment.
Okay. Staff?
Sure. CBD zoning allows for higher density because it's in the downtown area. And as far as the height of the building, I would probably defer to the engineer to verify exactly how tall it is. I can't pull that up.
And what about parking?
I think it's 2-story, but I don't want to tell you that and be incorrect. Parking is in the rear. Give me just a second, and I'll get to the site.
That's the copy of the plan, if that helps, while he's talking about that.
This right here.
These are 4 units at the front, then there's 2 units, and then this is parking, and then there's parking off the alley.
Oh, that's a street
Yes,
that you call it.
Grant Avenue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I didn't know it was a street either. It doesn't have a sign. Nobody knows what the name of it is.
But there's a copy of the plan. If you have any other questions, we can
Okay.
try to answer them.
So it's 4 different, I don't see how it's gonna be, but they're gonna be these little skinny houses. Is that what it's gonna be?
I believe they're attached townhomes.
Okay.
Is that what they? Yes. Okay.
Okay. All right.
And
Thank
then
you.
You're welcome.
The back is the 2 duplexes, correct?
Thank you, ma'am. Would anyone else like to speak against SR 63, 2025? Seeing none, would you all like to rebut? Nothing? Okay. We'll exit public hearing. Commissioners?
Motion for approval with the conditions listed.
Second.
All right, we have a motion properly made second. Comments, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, SR 63, 2025 passes.
Case number SR 70, the applicant is Vintage Clarksville Owner LLC. The name of the site is also Vintage Clarksville. It's a multifamily property is located at 501 Vintage Way. The zoning of the property is C2 General Commercial District, and that is within the city. On page 39, you'll see the aerial overview of the site. Page 40 is the site plan, and the subsequent several pages are the landscape plan that's broken down into multiple phases, or excuse me, multiple pages. I'll also point out that the staff recommendation is for approval subject to the two conditions listed, those being approval of all utility plans by the city engineer's office or utility district official, and number 2, approval of all grading, drainage, and water quality plans by the city street department to include road and sidewalk improvements as required. If there's any questions for the staff, I'll be happy to try and answer those. The next couple of pages right there include all the department comments.
I'd also like to add to this one. I know this one made it into the paper about a week and a half ago. This was approved 3 years ago and it expired, and that's what required.
Hey,
That's what required it to go back to the commission, is that it was over 3 years expired. So it's back before you. The conditions are the same as the last time, and the only thing I think that changed, the school system asked for a sidewalk this time and potentially some improvements on the Rossview Road side from the street department. But otherwise, that's why it's back before us. It's not really a new project, but just refreshing an expired plan.
And the reason this is removed from the consent agenda, there's a couple of emails in your packet, and those begin on page
51, it looks like.
51. So, again, any questions for the staff, be happy to try and answer those.
okay. Questions for staff? Jump into public hearing if not. All right, SR 70-2025, would anyone like to speak in favor?
Cal McKay, Burchett and Company, 1545 Madison Street. They explained why we're here again. It's, was it 2022? So all our approvals and permits have expired and got to start the process over again. We do have a grading and drainage permit, though. I'm not sure why it's still a condition. But I'll answer any questions.
See no questions, thank you. Would anyone else like to speak in favor of SR 70-2025? Would anyone like to speak against? We're going to exit public hearing, commissioners.
Move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second. I'll be abstaining.
Okay,
Reasons, my father works directly for the company.
okay. We have one abstention. We have a motion properly made second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, SR 70-2025 passes.
Okay. On to other business, commissioners. So if you'll open that tab, we do have a couple items. First one is the profit and loss statement through August 2025. I or Ronnie Gray down here will be happy to answer any questions you might have on that. Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion for approval of the profit and loss form.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, P&L is approved.
On pages 5 and 6, this was deferred last month for a little more clarification. We do have Ronnie over here who's gotten a little more information if you need it. We are updating the retirement policy in our handbook, as you can see in the red text on page 6, that all employees hired after July 1st, 2025 must participate in the hybrid retirement plan, contributing 5% of their gross salary. This was a request that made this past budget season by the city and the county, who have similar policies, though maybe slightly different. Ronnie might be able to explain the differences. If not, I would just ask you to approve this in the policy handbook.
Commissioners, do we have any questions or anything? I know there was a little bit of discussion last month.
No, if you've clarified everything, I'm good.
Okay.
Motion for approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and properly made second on the employee handbook update for retirement. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, handbook is updated.
Thank you. Next page, you'll see a letterhead from the Clarksville Housing Authority received September 8th, 2025. We've been in I don't know how many meetings at this point with many different contractors, but they have finally got a contractor of choice. They've gone through the planning process on their end, and they're ready to bring forward a site plan to redo a portion of the Lincoln Homes. Nothing like we originally saw, I think, 3 and 4 years ago. It's actually such a watered down plan now where they're rehabbing some buildings, they're replacing a few, and they're building 3 new ones while tearing down some of the worst buildings on that property. With it, though, they are also wishing to abandon some of the roads that are on the property and realign some of those streets back there. So over the next course of next couple months, you're going to have a abandonment, a right-of-way dedication, preliminary, possibly a final in there as well, and site reviews. So they're asking that we waive the review fees on all 3 of those types of applications as they come through for the next couple months to redo the Lincoln Homes. This is the first of maybe 2 or 3 phases, but it's the part that they have the funding for right now.
Is it normal to waive fees?
We have waived fees in the past for certain projects. Typically in industrial projects in the past, we've waived 30% of the fees. Can you remember times we've waived 100% of the fees? Habitat, yeah. So there have been some instances in the past, but none in the last year or 2.
Approximately how much monetary are we talking about?
About $3,000 total through all those applications.
Okay, thank you.
Motion for approval?
I make a motion for approval.
Second.
All right, we got a motion properly made second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes.
Okay, 1 opposed. The fee waiver does pass.
Thank you. And then finally, on the last page, we one of our authorities that we don't really use too much is we do have the naming authority over roads in the communities. This is the map of the newest road there off of Madison Street where that new signal went in across from Miss Lucille's. So the south side of the road is a little dead-end road next to Taco Bell. It's unnamed. We do need to provide a name because there are 3 parcels on there that will access that road, even though they're formerly access Madison Street. We asked the city street department for some names. They came back with Theodore Court. That name is fine. We don't have any sound-alikes, look-alikes, or repeats in the community of that. This just requires your review and approval.
Did that road not connect to the bypass, or did they
No.
cut it off?
It's a cul-de-sac.
I wish
Did
it
it
did.
not go around by Bumpus?
No, that road's still there. That's
Go
Denny
Back
Road.
behind
Tom,
Taco,
okay.
Taco Bell.
I'm one road further down there.
Correct, where the signal is.
Gotcha.
I do have a question. What was the name selection process?
So Madison's not down here. We asked the street department in the city for some suggestions first, and then they offered us a suggestion, and we went with it.
We have a lot of veterans in this community. It's just a little stub road. Why not honor one of our fallen veterans with a name on this road or something?
I'm not against that.
Theodore Roosevelt.
If you'd like to suggest another name,
I
or
would like to make an amendment to name it Sergeant Major Sidney Brown Court.
Sidney Brown. If you want to just adjourn for not adjourn, but suspend for a few minutes.
What was your
So
name?
we can check that.
Sidney Brown.
Of course, I can't have duplicates.
They gotta check the name. You want to defer to next month?
I would like to defer
Well,
till
I
next.
think we might be able to do it conditionally. We just need to make sure it meets the address and standard and can be put on the blade and all those items.
Yes.
If not,
And you
we'll
could
bring-
look up, you don't have to spell out Sergeant Major. I mean, you can figure out the
We'll put
acronyms
that
and
small in there.
Put
yeah.
it in there. I think his family would love to see his name honored in our
Okay.
community.
If it does have an issue and we can't do it, we'll just bring it back next month.
And I'll bring you another name.
Sounds good. All right. Did we get a motion on that, or?
Motion to
Second.
amend at the
Second.
moment. I have to do the amendment first, then we can vote on it.
Yeah.
Motion to amend to Sidney Brown Court,
Second.
Sergeant Major.
All right, we have a motion for the amendment properly seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now we're back to the original.
As amended.
As
Motion
amended.
to approve as amended.
Second.
Second, all right. Motion to approve as amended and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion passes, conditionally, I guess.
Now I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules so that we can go into the non-agenda item of creating the workshop.
Well, yeah, we can
Do
do
we
it
have
that
to
way.
suspend the
Yeah.
rules? You can't
Yep,
do it if
suspend
it's
the
not
rules,
on the
good point.
agenda.
Should we
don't
do the
this.
public comment period or wait?
We can,
It's up to you.
Let's just go ahead. Anybody have anything they want to address the commission about? All right, seeing no one.
All right, now I'll do a motion to suspend the rules.
All right, we got a motion to suspend the rules, talk about the sign workshop.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, rules are suspended.
And
Charlie,
make 'em-
don't act crazy.
Make a motion that the Regional Planning Commission staff creates a workshop / roundtable, whatever body wants to call it, that actually includes to invite the city council members and the county commissioners who have districts inside the city limits that would be affected by this area.
do we have a,
Yes, and
it'll be open to the public.
all parties interested, and please send an email to all
What,
business owners that you can that have signs that you know of, and also sign, I think I've said this before when we went over this, sign businesses that actually put the signs up. So
do we
that
have a
they can give
tentative
input.
date on this, or?
The staff would have to come up with it
Okay.
and make sure all parties involved are notified. And do you
The-
want a time
so-
limit on that to help
well-
y'all, so it's not?
No, I mean, I'd love to do it this month and try to get it in before the next, so we have it for the next meeting.
I know that's
instead of
gonna be
going-
tough with
'cause
fall
then it'll
break
be-
coming.
Yeah, and then we'll be into Thanksgiving. It's better for the chairman to declare a date. The chairman can call a special called meeting, and maybe that's what we'll call this, is a special called meeting
Okay.
/ workshop of the planning
like that.
commission. The chairman can call a special called meeting at any point. He just has to let me know. So you all are expressing your thoughts to him. He and I can work out a date that works for the most people, and we'll announce it
Mr.
well in
Chairman,
advance.
could I make a recommendation that the special called meeting be the next informal meeting? And the business could be conducted down here for the informal, and the first part of it could be the public involvement. Then we could go into our normal informal
What is that,
afterwards.
what is that date, do you know?
Be October 17th, it looks like, or is it the 24th?
October 24th.
24th.
That's plenty of time to get people involved. Do you want to call it for 9? We'll do the workshop at 9. We can still do the informal at 8:30, get our normal informal business out of the way, and do it at 9:30 down here. 8:30
Yes.
might be a little early for a lot of other folks, but
We usually,
Yes.
we usually run longer than that, though, at informal,
we
don't we?
can.
Well, how about
10 a.m.?
8:30 and 10 o'clock for
Okay.
the workshop roundtable?
8:30, normal, informal, then we don't have to change that.
Mr. Chairman, you got some input here?
The only concern I have is that the various people we're talking about including, that can be difficult for them to attend at 8:30 in the morning. I know you have many council members that work,
I agree.
8:30, 9, 10, whichever. I think that's gonna be could be difficult if you do it during the morning hours.
And I
for
do
people.
agree, but at least we have the live view now. They could at least join
They
in
can't.
if we do it down here.
They can watch on their phone or something, right?
If we don't want if we don't want them to contribute, that's fine. But again, that sends us back and forth.
And
What
I-
I was looking for was their opportunity to be in the discussion.
And I agree with that 100%, but we could set 50 dates, and you know as well as I do, only a
I
handful are gonna show up.
agree. I mean, I just think of, I mean, I can think of one in particular that would likely attend, but it could be difficult for them to do so.
I do know, there's something, I don't know, that's been mentioned to this. We have done invitations out to every city council person and county commissioner for the zoning rewrite. We can send correspondence and let them know the basis of the meeting, and those that may not be able to attend can obviously send their concerns in writing for consideration at the meeting. I know that doesn't allow for a lot of deliberation like the purpose of a workshop, but we can try to solicit comments in advance for that purpose, if there's any
And-
concerns.
And we're talking a month out, correct?
Well, I'll also let you
3
know.
weeks, I think.
I will
Or,
not
yeah,
be-
a month.
I'm not going to be here on the 28th for the planning commission meeting that month. I'm going to be at a conference Monday, Tuesday that week. So we may just bump this to November, though it'll be on the agenda next month. We can go put down the sign thing as another deferral to November. We'll try to meet in November, but it doesn't look like with fall break taking up the week of the 13th through 17th for most people. And then we're starting to run the next week. If we do it in the afternoon, you have Public Service Committee, Gas and Water Committee, Parking Commission. So you're going to run into all these city committees that you're going to lose 4 or 5 city council members every evening at 4:30 or 5 o'clock if we did it in the evening.
So potentially November 21st at 10 a.m.? Is that what I'm hearing?
Our planning commission meeting is the 25th because Thanksgiving is later this year at the 27th. We could do it in the I think the question from Council Member Streetman is that the morning may cut out plenty of people as well. I would look for something probably in the first week of November that's not conflicting with city committees. Possibly the 5th, possibly. Man, you have a lot of committees, don't you?
But they're later, and because you got to figure we have the council meetings the first Thursday of the month, and we don't have any committee meetings.
Maybe the
that
13th,
fall
that
with
looks
that.
Good. After the senior citizen board, 13th at 4:30 maybe? 13th of November?
You can start in the evening. I got kids and everything, man. So, I mean, one of y'all might run it if I can't make it.
I don't anticipate it taking more than an hour, really, because we're really going to get down to those last 2 or 3 numbers and try to dial the seconds or the transit, whatever that last bit is. And then we still have 2 weeks to work on the feedback we receive and get it back for the informal meeting. Or 1 week.
What?
Week and a half.
What day was it?
I'm
'Cause I was
thinking
looking at-
13th of November at 4:30.
All right.
I'll look at it and make sure I don't have a committee that day that I know of, but the downfall is I won't be here for that informal or formal that month because you're rolling into Thanksgiving.
No good answers.
No, not at all.
All right, so we're going to set the workshop for November 13th at 4:30 here.
Okay.
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 And staff is going to invite city council members, county commissioners, sign people, anybody that's voiced a concern about it, right? Okay.
And then you'll all sit up here, we'll present it, and then it can be 3 to 5 minutes each person voicing concerns, and it'll be for more back and forth. It'll be more of a discussion than a public hearing.
Okay. Everybody good with that?
Yes, sir.
All right.
To adjourn.
I don't know, do we got to
we
jump
have
back
to-
into the rules again and then
Yeah.
adjourn, or is that?
Do we have to vote on this?
Yes, it's oh goodness. Motion to unsuspend the rules.
There you go.
All right, we got a motion to unsuspend.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, can I get a motion for
Motion
adjournment?
to adjourn.
All right,
Second.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, closed up. Y'all have a good one. Thank you.